So I don't know if you noticed, but I wanted to like pay you a little homage right off the rip, and I threw a little breakout candidate into that thumbnail. Did you see it?
Yeah, Jalen Tolbert. Let's
Jalen
go.
Tolbert. Been waiting a couple years for him. Finally coming to fruition. So tell everybody in Fantasyland your take on on Jalen Tolbert and the fact that he's a breakout this year.
Jalen Tolbert is the Dallas Cowboys' new and still wide receiver two. He's been the wide receiver two for quite some time. Once Ferguson was down, he stepped up in a big way. Ferg came back, took a step back there. But now that Brandon Cooks has gone on IR for 4 more weeks, he's got a clear runway to just keep on climbing, man. So this is about to be Jalen Tolbert season. Got the game winner for the Cowboys last night, but they're going to need him the rest of the season too if they're going to win anything.
Yeah, I've liked him for a long time. I have quite a few shares. It's just been a matter of time, just waiting. When's he gonna hit? And let's uh let's take a real quick look at his value.
Yeah, man.
Speaking of
He was available.
values, the Trey Sermon is now the number one traded asset in Dynasty, followed closely by Rasheed Rice. That's hilarious. So Rasheed Rice is everybody is simultaneously trying to get out from under him and also pick him up at value. So so he's the number two most traded player in the last 30 days because you have that combination. And then Devontae Adams is number three. So we'll go to Jalen Tolbert and check out some of these
Man, he was very available, dude. He was
indicators.
available in dynasty leagues as well. I saw in some waivers.
Yeah.
I picked him up.
247. He's been involved in 247 trades in the last 30 days. Straight up for Trevor Lawrence, Zach Charbonnet, and a 25 round three. That's wow. Okay. Straight up for Rashid Shaheed. Uh, Jalen Tolbert for a round three and a round four in 2025. Straight up for
Yeah,
Tank
basically
Bigsby.
third.
I like the straight up calls. I like the Rashid Shaheed trade. I like the Tank Bigsby trade. Um,
Do you think there's more consistency with the Tolbert versus Shaheed?
I see that remains to be seen. Like
Yeah.
we're still waiting on it from Jalen Tolbert. However, this week I finally got my Rashid Shaheed start dialed in. Like he actually got me points in my lineup, and and,
The
and
same week
it,
you started him.
on my right, and that hasn't happened for
Yeah.
over a year, and
Guessing
and
game.
he's also one of like I had like an 8 leg parlay on underdog, and he was like one of the only ones that hit. So um, he did me right
Congrats.
this week. Yeah,
Except I wish the other ones hit for you. Sometimes you just
yeah,
gotta bet the opposite of whatever you're thinking. That's the strat.
I know. I really should do that. Uh, all right, so as a Cowboys fan, and you're with your glasses of bias on, uh, what are you paying for Jalen Tolbert?
Oh well, for dynasty, man, it's just tough. Like usually, I do already have some receivers, so it would be in that third round pick range. There's a scenario where he can absolutely produce. Um, right now, they've got three big producers. I could see Ferg going down, and they really, really relying on Tolbert. It's just hard for me to pay up for receivers. Like the reason I was liking some of those running back straight up trades is because that's what I need in some of those leagues is backs that I can slot into that lineup. And around a third round pick is actually what I would rather give my third round pick up for is a running back over there. But that's about the price I want to go after. And I'd probably want an early third, like kind of know that it's an early third or a second. I just can't imagine someone giving an early second for Tolbert right now. There's just too much depth at the wide receiver position. I'm not
Okay,
overreacting. I'm happy though.
so then what do you? what does it take to get him away from you?
Yeah. Yeah, second round pick. You can have him.
All right.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I can turn around and get a running back I need with that.
Okay, so let's talk about Tank Bigsby for a second, because if there was any other candidate that didn't make like an honorable mention, another candidate to make the thumbnail, uh, it would have to be Tank Bigsby, right? We have Travis Etienne getting pulled from the game for an injury. It was a bubble wrap move. They're just trying to keep him safe. It's not like he was hurt enough to miss a whole lot of time, but they were like, "Whoa, hey, now we got Tank." We're also starting to see this emergence of what fantasy owners were scared of in the first place heading into 2023 with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne. Etienne's his profile is he's an outside zone running back, and if you get him out, if you're able to get him out in open space and he turns the corner, he's going to do what he's done for the last couple of years, and that's lead the league in like rushes over 20 and 30 and 40 yards. Whereas Tank Bigsby, even though he's small, he is more of a between the tackles power run running back, and we've seen that. Well, what Travis Etienne does, he's been doing as the quote unquote bell cow, but that's not the profile. Whereas Tank Bigsby is the profile of a first and second down back. So do you see at any point their roles shifting? And now Travis Etienne is just coming in on third downs, being used in the pass game and on outside zone runs.
Yeah, and at this point, that's not even like a new trend. That's just kind of how NFL teams are running their offenses for the most part. There's just not that many workhorse backs. I thought Etienne was one of them. I'll call myself out like on some show this offseason. I was saying Etienne was one of the few that I thought was a workhorse
Same.
back. So it's a big blow. Bixby, we didn't get anything from him last year. He's already outscored everything he did last year combined.
Right.
And I like, you know, even in the Cowboys game, even though I was glad we won, like Rico Dowdle, he fumbles on the goal line. But really, you have Ezekiel Elliott for that. So with the Jacksonville Jaguars, you can have two backs that have their specific roles, like with the Lions and these other teams. That's fine because that really is more Bigsby's skill set, like, slashing in there. And, he can be that and just let Etienne be the pass catching back. But
Right.
with the
And
overall offense not having a great start, it was kind of tough to know that you could actually have this be supported. But they, put up like 29 or they're high scoring team this past week. If they can keep that going, then there's room for you to actually start these guys.
well, don't be too hard on yourself, because I also was fully bought in on Etienne this year, and he is capable. He showed that last year. He can be the three down guy. The thing is, though, in the Jacksonville RB room, it feels like those roles are starting to shift where the Jaguars can look at Etienne and go, we know what a value we have with this guy, and we don't need to give him the ball 15, 20 times a game, because we can let Tank Bigsby take the brunt of the inside running and then utilize Travis Etienne's skill set in a different way. So whether or not has the capability or the talent to be a bell cow, which he did last year, it's not that he doesn't have that. It's just for the sake of the Jaguars winning, they might need to like think of it in different terms rather than he's our main guy, right?
Yeah. Winning, people will do it if they think there's a correlation. Like at first, I didn't know which running back was alluding to as that other emerging guy because I was thinking it was Tyron Tracy, and I had the exact same question about him. Not to run away from this question, but this is a week where your main guy, Devin Singletary, isn't there, and the backup does something. So maybe in the next week you see more from both of those teams. Giants and Jags trying to use that number two guy more.
Well, when I said honorable mention or
Yeah.
candidate to as a breakout that wasn't
Yeah,
on
because
the
Tracy is on
thumbnail,
the thumbnail.
Tyron
Oh, I got you. Yeah,
Tracy
you're right.
is the highlighted main guy on the thumbnail,
Yeah,
because what we want to see, especially in uh, all of our pre-week 5 shows, when we came out and told everybody Tyrone Tracy's the pickup, Tyrone Tracy is the must start. Get this guy
Yeah.
in your lineup. He's got an opportunity, and we know his athletic profile, and we watched him in preseason, and now he's getting the opportunity. And how many times? You probably have a hit rate of about 20 or 30% of guys who suddenly are thrust with the opportunity and actually do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're
And
right though.
Tyrone Tracy did it. 130 yards rushing in his debut, right? So I don't want any part of Devin Singletary anymore.
Oof, brutal. Yeah. But what is the? Let me spin it to you because you're probably going to ask me what's the acquisition cost. And we could look at some stuff on Keep Trade Cut. But for you, I mean, this guy's a rookie. We're seeing a flash year one. I value that a little bit higher than with the Tank Bigsby situation, you know, because even though Singletary's got a 3-year contract, we all know it's really just a 2-year, and anything could happen with this team, especially if they start losing and some firing start going on. So where would you value?
But they just keep winning.
Yeah. See that Seahawks. I got bailed out that they got that fumble return for a touchdown because I was playing Seahawks in every league thinking they were going to steamroll without Neighbors and Singletary, and then
Yeah.
they lose that game. The Seahawks. Dang.
Nobody had that game. Nobody
Yeah.
had the Giants with a chance. I mean, and look out, Cowboys, because you're hearing footsteps behind you. Washington is no joke, and neither are the Giants. And the Eagles are, I mean, they're like a playoff contender. I won't call them a Super Bowl contender. I'll say they're a contender to actually make the playoffs. They're a paper lion. They're not as good as their hype. But no,
Hope
the
not.
Cowboys haven't been either, to be fair.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it looks like there's not a whole lot of well, okay. First, we'll start with Devin Singletary. He has been involved in a ton of trades, 703 trades in the last 30 days. Typically, people aren't selling him, they're buying him. Here's one for a 26 second rounder, a 27 second rounder, and a 27 third rounder. And that was yesterday. So maybe that person
Right
just
after.
didn't
Yeah.
watch. He didn't know what just happened. So let's look at Tyrone Tracy.
Yeah. People might still be sleeping.
And we call him a rookie, which he is technically. It's his first year in the NFL, but he's 24.
One of those final COVID super seniors.
Yeah, and not only that, but his path to the NFL included a position transition, transfer portal, COVID, all that stuff. So, and he fully took advantage of it. So, Conklin and Pollard for Luke McCaffrey, Tyrone Tracy, and Theo Johnson.
Getting rookies, getting younger, yeah.
Tyrone straight up for Carson Steele.
Easy. Well, mistake for whoever got Steele.
Straight up for Roschon Johnson.
Wow.
Yeah. I like Roschon's upside more than I like Tracy.
You got Caleb. This is a way better team. Like more touchdown opportunity, everything.
So if I'm on the Tyrone Tracy side, I think I'd do that, but I also wouldn't want to get rid of Tyrone Tracy. This one is really interesting. Tyrone Tracy and a 25 second rounder for Michael Pittman. Have we seen Pittman go that cheap?
No, because in the offseason I had to acquire him for like a first and a part of a package that just included the first. Yeah, I don't see him really going for seconds, but he had a little bit of a dip. But it seems like you can still rely on Pittman here and there. He's more of like a 2 seconds type guy.
Like, he's still the wide receiver one in the room. He's still the first read guy. I do want to take a real short victory lap when last week I told everybody start Alec Pierce, and that play didn't look very good in the first 3 quarters. And then
All he
I
needs is
went
3 catches.
I
It
was
gets
I was
done.
but like that's the profile. It's the Gabe Davis, Xavier Worthy, Alec Pierce. Like it's your win sprinter, Trey Tucker. It's your guy that is going to take advantage of a good matchup against a team that gives up a lot of points to wideouts, and he's just going to run wind sprints, and somebody's going to find him downfield twice, and there's your fantasy week. Rather than a Josh Downs who's going to get 10 targets, or a Michael Pittman who's going to get a bunch of targets on in breakers and post routes and stuff. So I mean that's the Alec Pierce profile, and I saw the matchup coming, and I want to pat myself on the back. And for everybody who listened to me, I appreciate you. For everybody who didn't, I hope you won anyway. There's no hate. All right, so we're in on Tyrone Tracy. What are you giving up? Third rounder?
Yeah, I would give a third rounder for him. All it takes is the same thing to happen, and he's a starter again. So I'm good at giving a third rounder for a running back. I think has some upside, more than I would have wanted to give for him a little bit ago because he was kind of free. But I think he might have some standalone usability in like a 3 flex type league as a pass catcher, because we have seen Singletary in that role where it's him and Zach Moss or him and another back, and they kind of share. And I actually won a league a couple years ago with Zach Moss and Singletary in the lineup simultaneously, and that was when Moss was bad. So, but point is, sometimes you just need a running back, and I think Tracy can at least give you solid floor of some points each week.
You give it up a second for him?
Nah, not
Say
yet.
say say you're a competitive team, and you have a running. Say you had Isaiah Pacheco, and he's
Yeah,
going to miss significant time, or you had some other kind of like injury that's going to look to keeping you out of the playoffs.
yeah.
If you get a running back who's going to give you some production, you're in the playoffs, and your second rounder is a late second rounder. Are you doing that for Tracy? Obviously, in a rebuild, you're not going higher than a third.
No, I think you changed my mind because you have to just look ahead and be like, some chaos is going to happen. You have to get the player before it happens. So be willing to go after it and let the chips fall where they may. And I like him as a player. I did film breakdown on him in the offseason, like him as a pass catcher. So he's got what I need, and I think if anything happens, he could just have a great role not the rest of the season starting next week, but maybe in the playoff time frame, he's just the number one RB on the team, and you got to get in front of that.
And
He's still a
hey,
little bit unknown, so it's worth it.
I think the best thing about his performance this weekend was that all of us that had done kind of deeper analysis on him as a player, what his profile was, the fact that he was a converted wide receiver and he has that pass catching upside. When we were all making our way, pick him up on waivers last week, start him this week, when we were all making that call, it was because of his receiving upside. And then he
Yeah,
goes out and has one catch.
yeah,
That 130 yards, that was all on the ground. So so his upside hasn't even been like explored yet. It hasn't even like he
yeah.
hasn't even hit with it yet.
But
So
imagine like Wandale going down, and like Malik is there, but Wandale goes down, and now they're like, okay, yeah, they still have Slayton, but that's not really Slayton's role in that middle area of the field. I
right.
could see that would be in a time where Tracy actually does eat. It's always tough when you have the QB that has a tendency to run, so you get a little fewer pass attempts. But I think there's going to be scenarios where he could get rack up some catches.
Now, as much as I want to pat myself on the back and take a victory lap for my Tyrone Tracy call, I
You
don't have a
should.
problem running away from my misses, and I fully missed on Wandale. I looked deep, and Seattle has done a great job of limiting slot receivers. I thought that they were going to have trouble getting him the ball, and it was just going to be a bunch of dump offs to Tracy. Again, Tracy had one catch, and Wandale had himself a game with Malik Neighbors out. So I missed on that one. Whiff. All right. let's move on to the next player on the thumbnail. And report came out today that head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers was asked about Russell Wilson coming back and a full go in practice. And what Mike Tomlin told everybody was that they didn't want to get in the way of Justin Fields' flow, and Russell Wilson is going to be taking all his reps with the second team. Even though he's a full go at practice, he's 100% back. Everybody, all of you in Fantasyland that took a chance and said at some point Justin Fields is going to win that job in Pittsburgh, you were all right. Justin Fields has won the job in Pittsburgh, and all you early adopters are about to reap the benefits, because there's one person in this entire league that everybody craps on all the time, and he is the one that unlocked Justin Fields, and that's Arthur Smith. How that happened, I have no earthly idea, but it did happen, and Justin Fields is the go-to guy. So what are we doing with Justin Fields?
Gotta buy.
Gotta buy.
I think on one of our first episodes, I think so. I gave away one of my bad trades, where it's still a bad trade, but to win a league, which I did win, the Player Profiler League, I gave away Kyler Murray while he was injured, and Trey McBride, who still hadn't broken out yet, for Justin Fields. And Fields went off that season. I won that league. And then I'm telling you, well, now I have a nothing burger from Justin Fields that's on my bench. And it's just crazy how Dynasty works out, man. But at the same time, he's a young player who we thought might not be ascending anymore. But no matter what, Russell Wilson was always going to be on the decline. So it was a worthwhile gamble for folks. And I appreciate you giving people kudos, because I really didn't have any other Fields other than the ones I already was holding and couldn't get rid of. But I saw people taking them pretty early, and for what I thought in drafts, and I was shout out to those guys. So for me, I'm trading first round pick for Fields. Hopefully that's back end if I'm a contender. But quarterback is what I would want to draft anyway with that first round pick. So give me Justin Fields. I think you don't mess around. There's no way you're getting him for a second. So just get that first round pick offer out there. Maybe they turn it down anyway. It's an exciting class coming up, so I can see someone biting on that. And what would I give up for him? Yeah, like that. That's what I would want to pay. But to get rid of him, I want that quarterback. There's about whatever the rushing quarterbacks are, those are the ones I want on my team. So I actually don't want to get rid of Fields.
So here's a straight up for Etienne. Straight up for a 25 round 2, which
both of those are smashes.
And then straight up for a 2025 round 1.
So yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
This is one of those. Here's another for number 1. Okay, I'm gonna get into this one in a second, but this is a head snapper. Justin Fields straight up for DeAndre Swift. Somebody did that today.
So maybe they were flushed with quarterbacks and are crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so here's one that all right. Justin Fields straight up for JJ McCarthy.
Oh yeah, I'll take Fields. Yeah, I'll take Fields. I do. Now that we've seen the Vikings be a great functional offense, even actually before this season with all of the other quarterbacks that are functional offense, it seems like McCarthy's going to be good, guys, and it will be attached with JJ. But I'll take Fields here. Still has good receivers as well, and doesn't need them. He can just run all over and get you some points.
And that's the thing. Justin Fields is still young, so he's gonna pay off immediately right now this year. JJ McCarthy is still now at least a year out. Now, let's talk about JJ McCarthy really quick as a dynasty asset. Because he's on the IR. He's out for the season. But and Sam Darnold has absolutely established himself as the Vikings quarterback moving forward, which will give the Vikings the opportunity to sit on McCarthy as long as they absolutely have to. There is zero pressing need for him to get. We all thought, oh, he'll be in there by week 5, week 6. There's no need for that. There's no need for week 5, week 6 in 2025. There's no need for him to do anything for the next 2 to 3 years until Darnold moves on from the Vikings. Now, I'm a proponent of clipboard quarterbacks. I feel like quarterbacks do better when they're offered a chance to stay in the NFL for a little while. You have a different environment now where you have guys like Bo Nix coming out at 23, Jaden Daniels coming out at 23, uh, Michael Penix coming out. These guys have been in the league for been in college for 5 or 6 years. Whereas JJ McCarthy fits the old school first round profile of a kid who's 21 years old. He was the youngest quarterback in the draft, and he flashed the talent. So his breakout season was that early. And then on top of that, as a freshman, he was doing what Alex Orji is doing for Michigan right now. Well, Orji has by injury taken over as the every down quarterback, but to start the season, Orji was purely coming in for the occasional RPO run, and that's what JJ McCarthy was doing. Jim Harbaugh knew JJ McCarthy has rushing upside, and he would come in as a spell quarterback and run an RPO and usually run with the ball. So that's the upside that JJ McCarthy is bringing, on top of the fact that we watched his velocity be second at the combine. The kid can chuck it.
Yeah, the number one 3-cone drill at the combine, to speak to that speed you're talking about, like
Yeah,
he can move.
scouts were standing next to the coaches, watching them throw to the wide receivers, and they said that every pass that JJ McCarthy missed was the fault of the receiver. Every time the coach was like, JJ, put the ball here, he did. There's no rapport with those wide receivers. They've never met each other or played whatever. So he's throwing the out routes like he's supposed to, and the wide receivers would round off their route or they wouldn't get there on time or whatever. But everything that the coaches were asking McCarthy to do, he was doing it. His profile, his coming out in the draft, I was so high on McCarthy, and and I wanted him on the Raiders too. But what are we doing with JJ McCarthy in Dynasty? He's an asset that he's not going to pay off for a while. Do you try and take advantage of that? Find a team that has him on their roster that maybe needs somebody to like give him a real quick influx and offer a second or a third rounder. Because I mean, he was first rounder in rookie drafts. Do you now buy low on him and kind of stash him for a while?
Yeah, guys, bigz made the case, man. Absolutely, you got to go after him. And look, I did trade him away in a spot. I traded away him and Marshawn Lloyd for Kamara and Tank Dell just to get some productions on a contender. But I got every other quarterback I want, so I was good there. But I think you got to go after him before the price starts to go up. I think that would be in the off season, because you had mentioned the signing of Sam Darnold potentially. I don't know what that's going to look like, because I think he could demand a contract from a lot of teams. Now, he'll probably want to come back to the Vikings, since it's kind of the only place that's really worked for him, other than like 4 games in Carolina before CMC got injured. So, it's a great team, it's a great fit. So, if he's staying there long term, that is a little bit tougher to really, really want McCarthy. It feels like you have a bigger buy window. So, I would just feel it out. I don't want to send out cold offers. I'm not ready to send out a first, just because I think I can leverage that first a little bit better. But if you can get like maybe 2 seconds from McCarthy, I'm willing to just throw that out there at 25, 26, and just sit on him and see what happens. Like, his value is going to go up either way, so you should be able to flip him later.
Right. And how many people had Jordan Love and sat on him for 3 years and
Yeah,
now
yeah,
have
and
Jordan Love?
yeah, and exactly. Not a lot of people held on that whole time. It's really hard. That's what I'm trying to factor in, because I love the case you made. I believe in McCarthy, but this is the dynasty stock market. It is relative to other people's values, and they're going to be down on McCarthy until anything changes. Now, if Sam Darnold injury happens or something like that, I could see that's where it's like, all right, well, we know it's going to be handed over to McCarthy at some point. But
That's still
regardless,
not till next year.
Yeah, no, regardless, I'm willing to buy. I'm just saying I don't see the need to overpay right now to go get him. I think I could say whatever my high end price is, I can pay that later. He's available. People will trade him.
So I'm trying to scour these trades. Uh, so far, that Justin Fields trade is the only one straight up. Everything else is McCarthy plus for somebody else established. So more people are trading him away, including him in packages for Kyler, for Trevor Lawrence, uh, Kirk Cousins for Sam Darnold and JJ McCarthy.
That doesn't make
That
any sense.
coming off a 500-yard performance from Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, give me the
Uh,
Vikings side.
yeah, right.
Vikings QB.
You're getting that production plus the future. Okay, this one's pretty interesting. JJ McCarthy plus a second rounder and a third rounder in 2026 for Travis Kelce and Travis Etienne.
Yeah, and I understand maybe for rebuilder, but just I like the McCarthy side.
Yeah, but that's a win now deal.
Yeah,
Um, I'm I if I'm a contender, I'm giving up McCarthy
yeah,
and a second and third for Travis Kelce and Travis Etienne. The two
yeah.
Travises. Um,
It's kind of a win-win trade, I think. As long as McCarthy hits, it's a win for the McCarthy side.
this one's interesting. JJ McCarthy and Tyrone Tracy for Xavier Worthy.
Ooh, um, I like the Worthy side. I think Worthy has a big chance for a value spike. Right now, Juju Smith-Schuster is the leading target guy on that team. Like, it's not going to take much for Worthy's value to increase. It just won't. Like, let Worthy get 2 more months of seasoning, and he's going to do some crazy stuff. I can see his value just spiking a lot more. But yeah,
Okay, Longhorns fan in
I'm
Austin.
I'm just
Um,
saying. When
I
guys are on the field, it makes a difference. And we got Mahomes throwing you the ball, and no one else is healthy, and the other competition's the old. Come on.
no, I understand what you're saying, but Xavier Worthy hasn't struck me to this point as somebody who's more than, if you recall, what I was the Gabe
Yeah.
Davis, Alec
Yeah.
Pierce.
Yeah.
That's the boat that to me Xavier Worthy fits in. Eh, How is that wrong?
I think you're right because his first opportunity without Rashi Rice, Juju has a billion targets. What is going on? Like they need if you can't use Worthy more now, like I'm assuming it's going to be later when he's a little bit better. But I did believe Worthy coming in had more than just a deep threat skill set, but I
It
think
it looks
it's
like
just
his size is a problem. Like
yeah,
he's kind of bad in press coverage, but once he gets out in the open field and uses his speed to get down the field, like he's a best ball spike week god, right?
yeah, because
Or
he
should
got he had a
be.
rushing touchdown. Like he had obviously had that rushing touchdown in his first game of the season as well. But yeah, only 3 catches on so 6 targets, more than I thought he got. But I just only 25 yards. He's just not getting it done. So yeah, I mean it's a tough spot. Like it could be a little more bias. I want him to be good, and it's just more of the opportunity is there, but that's just not how it works for a wide receiver, and it's not the 1-to-1 that it is for running back.
Right. Okay. So are you giving up Keon Coleman to get Xavier Worthy?
Um, yeah, I still am. I think I'm still holding out hope for something I haven't seen. And look, we've learned to take our medicine with a Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Um, Coleman, I think he stepped out of bounds on that one play. He should have been out, but uh, I don't know, man. It looked like
Z-
Shakir was the wide receiver one, but he was out the last game. So I
yeah.
don't want to unfairly boost up Coleman right now.
And preseason it was Curtis Samuel.
Yeah,
so,
but with
so
actual gameplay, it's been Shakir.
I'm still waiting on his 8th year breakout. All right. All right. Uh this one is interesting. 14 team league. Fields, Tyjae Spears, and Keon Coleman for Xavier Worthy. That
Oh,
feels like a
yeah.
lot. Of
Yeah, I was
course,
like, is
that
that one quarterback league?
2 quarterback league, 14 teams,
Four. Okay.
but it
Well,
was a month ago.
yeah. So the field side one. Whoops.
All right, so let's do some bad beats. Bad beats and good weeks. What was your good week this week?
Man, another crazy week in fantasy football. But I'm gonna say good week is getting into first place in my home league that I first started Dynasty with. I was a rebuilder this past year. Now I've got all the studs on my team, and it's awesome. Other than Neighbors was injured, but I got the high score. I took down the first place team that was undefeated. Um, and I opened up that week with Thursday night playing against Drake London and Baker Mayfield. That combo, you know those Thursday night combos where it just feels like, well, it's over already. And somehow I climbed back and ended up winning it. I had Jaden Daniels, C.J. Stroud, Brees Hall, Kamara, Josh Downs started him. Marvin Harrison didn't do anything for me, but Jack Smith and Jigba got me a little 13. But Garrett Wilson's 22 targets out of left field ends up giving me 29 points. And your boy Brock Bowers is on the team as well, and he crushed it. So, yeah, that was awesome. Also had Austin Seaver for 10 points as a kicker, and the Seahawks, who, again, got that crazy return fumble touchdown off of Eric Gray to bail me out there. So, yeah, man, I'm in first place now. Took down the undefeated team, so feeling
Nice.
pretty good.
So my good win.
What's up, Jamie? In the chat.
Jamie, I shouted him out in a show the other day, and he wasn't watching. I was like, the comments haven't started yet, but I know Jamie's out there, and
Yeah.
he wasn't watching. So on my bench, Steelers D, 13 points. I played the Raiders D against the Broncos, 2 points.
Mm,
Brock Bowers on my bench,
why?
23.7 points. I
You're
had Trey McBride in.
That's your guy. Oh, okay.
I know. I'm not going
Sad
to make that
times.
mistake again. Uh, let's see. Brian Robinson, 13.8 points. Roshan Johnson, 14.5 points. I had Brees Hall in. Chris Olave, 3 points.
I was playing against Olave. Nice.
Nico Collins got hurt. I had Deontay in. I also left Kirk Cousins on the bench. 43.46 points. Or 3.6. But my quarterback was Lamar. And I've been pounding the desk for Darnell Mooney all year.
Yeah.
And he goes out and gets me 30 something. I won by 1.04 points. That's in the draft
Wow.
night out, courtesy of the Fantasy Football Expo, where I maintained my tie in first place. That was the good win.
Well done. Yeah, I like how you started negative there. I was like, wait,
Yeah,
is this the right segment?
in spite of myself, I pulled that victory out. And then maintain my lead in my Josh Hines Allen jersey league. Winner gets the jersey. I actually passed Jack Lucenay this week. Take over control of first place at 9-1. It's an IDP league with best ball scoring. And I had Daniel Jones, Derrick Henry, Rashid Shaheed, Zach Ertz, Ramondre. Ertz did nothing. Javonte Williams, Jordan Mason, Travis Etienne, Jeremy McNichols, Alan Lazard. So that was good. Bad beats. My home league. I just can't. My home league is a 10-team league, so the rosters are pretty deep, and I have a ton of guys on my roster who are all really high upside, but they seem to kill me every week. This week it was Brees Hall and Myles Garrett. Like, come on, you guys. Meanwhile, I have Darnell Mooney on the bench. I have Alex Van Ginkel on the bench. He had a pick six, and Miles Garrett had 0 points. Like, this is what I go through every week. This is the week that I had Rashid Shaheed in, and he finally scored for me. Um, but George Pickens didn't. And it's like every time I make a lineup decision in this league, it's the wrong decision. Whoever I put in does bad. Whoever I take out goes off, and it's like every week.
Brutal.
Yeah. So for the fourth week in a row, I'm projected to win, and I lose.
Makes no sense. That's fantasy in a nutshell, man. There's a team in one of my leagues that has a losing record and they have the most points forced, and it happens every year, you know.
Thanks, Jamie.
What's up, George?
All right, what's your bad beat, and then we'll get to George real quick.
And I wanted to give some love to Campus to Canton League, so I chose the
Okay.
Campus to Canton League here. And I even though I had Kyler Murray and Geno Smith both give me 27 points, and I had Rico Dowdle and DeAndre Swift going off for me, and I had Tucker Kraft in the lineup, and Nico Collins unfortunately get hurt, but still doing something. I end up losing because, I mean, do you know who the player of the week was, non-quarterback wise? Because I needed to get him in one of these, and it was Jamar Chase, and he just shredded me, dude. I got Jamar Chase, 45 points. Oh man, it was brutal. It was still a close game, 220 points to my 205, but that Jamar Chase just completely obliterated me, man.
Who are you looking at for who's coming up next year out of your Canton side?
Man,
Side?
I've got Ewers, who I'm glad that he's bounced back a little bit. It's a volatile swing of emotion. Like you're like, I guess I have a doorstop, you know, because everyone's out on him, and then now he's back in. Sad I had traded some assets that could have been Arch Manning. That would have been really nice to have gotten him on the other side. But yeah, I mean that's my main guy that's like up there because I've been going heavier on the NFL side. So I've been trading assets. Like when I had Bo Nix, I traded him really fast with something else to get Jalen Hurts. And,
Yeah.
I'm like number one team. Like I just rather go with what I know. I've seen too much crazy stuff on this college side. I do a lot of helmet scouting too. So I have a lot of Alabama and Georgia players, but
yeah,
I'm not getting too much out of these guys.
Ohio State wide receivers.
Yeah, I got a lot of those. I got some Texas receivers. So I'm just hoping I get lucky come draft day, to be honest.
Last year I traded Derrick Henry for Travion. That was a mistake.
Yeah. Derrick Henry is looking good.
Yeah.
He's going off.
You know what? We should start talking about our C2C leagues because it is technically Dynasty. It's just an offshoot of Dynasty, and we have a lot to contribute. Like Jaden Ott and Rocco Becht is my favorite guy on the Devi side. Sophomore quarterback for Iowa State, had his breakout as a freshman, lit it up in his bowl game, and he's been my number one quarterback on all of my campus rosters, and just lighting it up. And if he comes out as a junior, look out. His dad was a tight end in the NFL, and Rocco's a dude.
Okay.
And then of course Jaden Ott, my Cal Bear.
I like it. I think I might have Ott somewhere. Hey, what about Ole Miss helmet scouting? We had AJ Brown, DK Metcalf come out of there. One of the Moore brothers.
Yeah.
Trey Harris. I have Trey
Elijah.
Harris on the team.
Elijah Moore was Ole Miss, and
I got Trey Harris. He's going off. I don't know if that's going to translate.
I like Jackson Dart. I hope the Raiders draft Jackson Dart.
Yeah, I'm hoping Dylan Edwards like being on the cover of NCAA 25 helps. I don't know how he's really, how his value is really doing. He's just okay.
We were talking in one show on the Player Profiler News side with my new co-host on Fridays, Chev. And we were talking about Dallas and them not drafting Braylon, and then we were talking about this year they're going to pass on Gentil, and and takes somebody later like Jaquindon Jackson or
Yeah.
something like that. And we were having a laugh at the Cowboys' expense. It was fun.
Yeah, I
But
don't know what they're doing, man. Oh, hey, I did see I got Garrett Nussmeier though, so
yeah, okay.
that's looking okay. At least got a couple quarterbacks in the pipeline. Let's go.
Nussmeier looks good. All right. Hey, in a redraft non PPR league, man, what are we doing here? Does it say dynasties? I'm kidding. We'll answer all questions. All right, George Play 01. In a redraft non PPR league, trade Mason for HN. No. Hang on to Mason. Or Mason and Kittle for Kamara and Laporta. No, I don't like either of those. I do like Kamara and I do like Laporta, but Laporta's role has changed so far this year. Kittle is established. His role
Yeah.
hasn't changed. He's still doing Kittle things. Mason is very, very good, and he's not coming out until CMC comes back, and we have no idea where that is. You got Barkley and Gibbs and Mason. You're 4-1. Don't rock the boat. Stay where you're at. Hold.
Oh, do you like fantasy points? Then hold because Kittle's having a career year. It almost looks like so. Yeah, man. Ayuk didn't even step up how we thought he would. So Kittle's been getting some great usage, and he's been missing some of these end zone plays. So I feel like there's some meat left on the bone for Kittle too.
Yeah. In my pre-draft rankings, I had Kittle as a top 6 tight end, and that's not changing. Now, to be fair, I had Laporta as tight end 3, or sorry, tight end 2, but that was
Yeah,
preseason, and it hasn't shaken out. But what Kittle's perceived role was going to be, and you have to remember he's attached to the second and third most efficient quarterback in the NFL. So per DVOA, per dropback, and fantasy points per dropback, Brock Purdy is right there at number 2 in points, fantasy points per dropback, and number 3 in DVOA per dropback. And Kittle's his dude. So if Debo's hurt, which is often, and CMC isn't catching passes, and Brandon Ayuk is magically disappeared because somebody on that coaching staff is a magician, Kittle's is the guy, and he's showing that every week. Kamara, I had ranked as a top 5 running back. I feel like he's still going to hit that. He has all of that upside, but Kendre Miller is coming. Kamara's role could be reduced. Like HN is hurt already, like got hurt already. Yeah, I hold on those. I don't make waves. I'm glad we're in agreement.
yeah, I'm with you, man. It's redraft. So like I'm fine just rocking with the ones that brought me there.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're going to jump out of here and see you next week. Don't forget to watch Thursday Night Tailgate over on the Player Profiler main channel with me and Greinberg and Schultze, and then catch me on Player Profiler today on Friday with my new co-host Chev. It adds a different dynamic where you can talk to somebody and bounce things off rather than just me sitting there, just me on the camera reading my show sheet going, and this is what these injuries are, and this is the matchup that's kind of like we actually have conversation and dialogue, and it changes the dynamic of the show and makes it way more fun. We're also there to answer all your questions. Alex, tell everybody where they can find you and what shows they need to be watching.
Yeah, check out all the big stuff. And you can find me on YouTube at Dynasty Football Key. I've been doing some waiver and pick'em and some rankings over there and more Dynasty content like this. And I'm on Twitter at Dynasty F Key. Also on the Undroppables, doing the Cowboys show over there, Cowboys Uncovered. Check that out on Mondays. We just did an episode last night recapping the clutch Tolbert game-winning touchdown and everything else that went into that game and what it means going forward into next week versus the Lions coming off of a bye week right ahead of the Cowboys bye week. So lots to get into over there. Check us out. And yeah, man, see us back here next week on the Dynasty Stock Market.
Absolutely. All right. We got one more question. Mystique comes in with start 10. What's the value of Puka? I lost Rasheed. Puka should be back. He's in the third tier of wide receivers at this point. You kind of have to buy into his injury proneness, because he had 1 year where that 1 year since he started in college that injuries haven't shown up. So you kind of have to be measured for that. I'm sorry that you lost Rasheed. You can't go get Darnell Mooney. All right, your thoughts. Where do you see Puka? Because I was real low on Puka coming into the year, and then he of course got hurt. I just thought he's good, but Cooper Kupp, when Cooper Kupp came back last year, 33% of Puka's targets went away, and I wasn't going to pay first round draft capital to grab him when he was losing a third of his targets, right?
Yeah, and it's a tough spot to be in because he's got not necessarily quarterback certainty in the future. I think they can figure it out, but they might not, and it's actually likely that they won't. So we just gotta, hope that he gets more time with Stafford, and maybe Kupp is gone. But we just don't know the future like that. But I think for this year, if Puka does come back, either one of those two players could re-injure. But if it's Kupp who re-injures himself, then maybe Puka gets more runway as a solo guy. So it has the range of outcome to pan out. But in the offseason, I think Puka was being valued as a second round startup pick, something around there, maybe third early. So that's kind of like a 2 first round pick value. I don't know if people are willing to give that anymore for him, but I still value him in the first range. I would still give a first for him just because I have seen it. I think I have to just buy into that because that's what I did a lot this last year. Was like, if I've seen you be good, then I'm willing to take you over some of these respective guys or zeros that you're going to get. But if they're talking him versus, like, are they saying can I go get Puka straight up for my Rashee Rice? If that's the question, then I'm kind of a little hesitant to do that.
He was asking the value of Puka, so maybe what he should be offering.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Because definitely, I don't want to give up Rashee. Seems like he'll bounce back eventually. So,
but what would you give up for Puka?
Yeah, I said it first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I said Fair. It was 2 first, and then now it's a first for me.
All right.
I still believe. I believe.
He still believes. That you should make a movie song out of that.
Yeah.
All right. So if you want to know more about injuries, Matt Kelly has a little message for you, and we will see you guys next week.
Hey, you're in your fantasy draft, and someone says, "Hey, that guy's injury prone. I don't want him." And you're like, I don't know. I don't think you can predict injuries. Well, guess what? Now you can! Injury proneness is real! At Player Profiler, we have the data on these players, and it's all in the Injury Finder app. Their injury track record back through time, exactly where they were injured, how severe it is. We look at the BMI data, and we crunch it all together, and we give you probabilities that a player will miss multiple games this NFL season, as well as the complete database of NFL injuries and the ability to compare two players and look at their injury track record. The Injury Finder is powerful, and it's only $5. If it's worth it to have that peace of mind when you're drafting, go get it. From the Podfather to you, I deeply appreciate you tuning in. And many ask, what can I do? What can I do to help support the hosts, the research they do, the production costs? Go to playerprofiler.com, Dynasty Deluxe, World Famous Draft Kit, Rankings, DFS Dominator, and of course, data analysis. Subscribe to any one of those, and you support all of us and take Player Profiler to the moon.